Last weekend marked the 10th anniversary of the Bali bombings, a terrorist attack in which 202 people lost their lives. Among the victims was Dan Miller, who was on a rugby holiday with his bride of just 5 weeks, Polly. Despite sustaining burns to 43% of her body, Polly survived the atrocity, and during her recovery process in Australia, she was inspired to set up a charity in her late husband's name.
After Bali, obviously my life had been totally devastated. Like, I'd gone from being married, ecstatic, to 5 weeks later, my world in pieces. And it was very black, very dark days, and I really needed something positive to work towards. And I just couldn't really understand how Dan and Annika, all my friends, had died and died for nothing. So we decided that we would raise some money and make some good come from evil. And it was at Dan's memorial service in January 2003 when I announced to everyone that I would like to raise some money. And initially we were really looking just to raise sort of £25,000. And we were completely overwhelmed, and in the first year raised to £150,000.
3 years later, Polly was the recipient of the IRB's prestigious Spirit of Rugby Award for her remarkable achievements. And Dan's Fund for Burns continues to raise money and provide support for those who have suffered from serious burns.
The charity really aims to help anyone who's been burnt in the UK as an adult, and where we try and fill the gap between the NHS, which is obviously really good at critical burn care in hospital. It's when we leave hospital, when you need the physio or the counselling, or when people, for example, their houses burn down and they don't have any furniture. We sort of step in, help pay for furniture, we help pay for physio, we help buy computers for those people who've lost their fingers and can't write anymore. But we have quite a wide range of remit as long as it fits within those criteria.
Whilst the physical and psychological scars remain, life has moved on for Polly. In her home village last week, a memorial service was held for those who lost their lives. It was a time for reflection.
Time is definitely a healer. I mean, all the cliches are there for a reason. I think, the pain is less raw. It's still there, if I'm honest, but you find a way to learn to live with what's happened. And I've been really lucky and managed to rebuild my life, obviously married with kids now. But especially running up to the 10th anniversary, there's a lot of reflection. And I feel, a huge sense of loss for my friends who were killed, for their families. I'm a mum now, I really understand what it means to have lost a child. The best way to describe it is like ripping off a plaster, I suppose. You bandage up your life and you keep going, and I'm very lucky, I've got a great life. But there's still the old wounds there, and, sadly, those will never go.
And the rugby community, that played such a supportive role in Polly's life, continues to provide a huge source of comfort.
We really get a lot of support from out in Asia. The Hong Kong Football Club do things, Singapore Cricket Club, the Singapore Bucks Club. There's been fight nights and black tie dinners and raising money for the charity. And also at the long lunch in the Dubai Sevens for the last 3 years. So that's one of the wonderful things about going back to Hong Kong, because there's going to be a memorial at the Hong Kong Football Club, and there's going to be beers afterwards, and there's a very special sense of community in the world of rugby. Life is great, it is good. It feels bad to say that at the 10th anniversary, but, I am lucky. Life is busy, working for the charity, but whenever we help people, it's all worthwhile, really. We get these wonderful thank you letters from people who say, literally have lost everything, and, thank you, Dan's Fund for Burns, for stepping in. And I felt very much when I was first in hospital and my life had been completely devastated, people helped me. The Red Cross helped, and some of my clients, and so many people stepped in, and there was this huge outpouring of love and support for me to keep me going, to keep me alive and to keep me smiling, that I sort of feel like it's only right that I can pass that on to someone else.